Okay, this must have been about 1924, and my dad put together a little crystal set radio, and he had that up in the attic, and there he could sit and listen to a church broadcast. Dr. Preston Bradley would broadcast his sermons every Sunday morning, and that was it a few miles away in Chicago, and we thought this was really a miracle that you could sit and hear something, you know, outside of our neighborhood even. So that was my first experience with the radio. And just think of the things that have happened in the meantime. You know, we just really sort of in the dark ages. At any rate, I had a good friend, Ginny Carlson, and the two of us went to kindergarten or to first grade together. And then we both got chicken pox. And in the meantime, my aunt was pregnant and my cousin Harvey was born while we lived together. So I couldn't stay at home. I went to Ginny's house while I had chicken pox. And that was quite an experience for the two of us. We had a wonderful time while we had chicken pox. We were together about a week.
And now, what was school? What was school like in the beginning?
The school, it was I think there were only 3 grades in the school, and it was in a park in Winnemac Park. We had quite a long walk to school, and we had to walk past lots of bushes, and of course my mother was so worried because you could hear children were kidnapped and all this sort of thing was happening in those days, the same as it is now. And so Ginny and I walked together, and my mother was still working for Mrs. Lyons, so she'd go twice a week. And on one day when she was walking to get to the streetcar, she expected to see Ginny and I come home for lunch, and here came Ginny all alone. And she wondered why, and Ginny said the teacher had kept me after school at lunchtime. We walked home for lunch, but she kept me after school. Mother walked right to the school and found out that when I got up from my seat, my skirt caught on the seat, and it was one of these seats that went up and down, and so the seat slammed, and the teacher made me stay after school. I think that teacher read the riot act because my mother didn't dare have me walk all alone home past all those bushes. But at any rate, that was my school experience. But finally,
and what about language? How was?
I didn't have any problem with English.
Because you'd been speaking with children.
What?
Because you'd been speaking with the children on the street.
Well, I had been playing with children all along, so I knew both languages.
Right.
That was no problem for me. But after a year, we decided that both families were going to buy their own houses, and we found a little neighborhood, a small neighborhood of only 3 blocks long, and a block and a half. Each street was just a block and a half long. It was called Brinford Park, and this is where both my uncle and my dad were able to buy houses 1 block apart. We were at 5710 Keystone. They were at 5710 Karlove. So we were just a block between us. And that's where I had the rest of my lower grade education. And because it was such a little neighborhood, we didn't have a good school. They took a section off of the tuberculosis sanitarium, which was across the street from our neighborhood, and built portable schools. There were just 3 schools there, and plus the bathroom, where the janitor had her office, or whatever you might want to call it. And we had to walk along a cinder path about 2 or 3 blocks to the school. And this little black lady from the south side came every morning, took the streetcars from the south side. It must have taken her at least an hour. And then she had to walk about 3 blocks down to the school and get there earlier than the rest of us to build a fire in the potbelly stoves. And this is where I went from second grade to sixth grade, through sixth grade. So I was in one portable for first and second grade, and then third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth was in another portable. And we had no gym. Each teacher in the room one teacher had 2 grades and the other teacher had 4 grades in her room, and they had to teach everything, music, and
Wow.
we didn't have any gym, so I never learned to play baseball, or I never learned anything like that. We just went out and played on the playground. That was our recess. So by the time I was ready for 7th grade, a junior high had been built. And that was, we could get to the junior high by taking 2 buses, 3 buses actually. We took then Crawford Avenue, Lawrence Avenue, and Kimball Avenue buses to get to the junior high. And here was this beautiful building with a swimming pool and gymnasiums and everything. And that was pretty traumatic for those of us coming from this place where we'd had nothing before. And the hardest part for me was the gym part, because we had never had any kind of gymnasium. And one experience that was really traumatic was when we were going to play baseball, and I had never played baseball before. And finally it was my turn to be the pitcher, and I didn't know how to throw the ball, and I walked the whole team. And that teacher let me stand there and never showed me what to do, and I wanted to drop right down through the floor. I've never forgotten it. I think she should have been fired.
So in your early years, in the early years of school, what were the children like? Was this a melting pot of children, or a...
Well, in the junior high, it was in the middle of a Jewish neighborhood. So they were almost all Jewish kids that went to that school. So when the Jewish holidays came, we Gentiles had to be in the school, but nobody else was there. So we could
Wow.
just as well have been home.
And in the first grade, first, second, and third grade, were the children...
No, that was a mixture. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
That was a mixture.
So there were different ethnic groups, or was it mostly just American?
Yes. No, they were, there were a little bit of everything.
Right.
And we did happen to have really very good teachers too. We were lucky in that respect.